I'm here with Janiel Olson, senior to the Yellow Jackets, returning to the team after a year away from competition. Are you fired up to be back on the court for your final season?
Yes, it feels really good to be back. 20 months is a long time to spend away from the court, a lot of days to sit out and watch. So yes, I'm super excited to be back and feel more a part of the team.
Although I'm sure it was hard for you not being on the floor, did you maybe learn some things? Were you able to soak up some information or strategies that you were able to add to your arsenal for this year?
Absolutely. Sitting out and being able to watch a whole season, you get to watch a lot of players do different things, and not only for our team, but how other teams run their offenses and defenses. I think I learned a lot from sitting out, not only for my style of play, but how I can help the team in different roles.
So 2013-14 Conference Defensive Player of the Year and First Team All-GNAC. Coming into this season, do you see your role has changed on the team, or what do you see being your contributions to what is essentially a very different team from what you left 2 years ago?
Absolutely. A lot has changed for me, especially my role. I feel like defense is still required, but things that are new for me this year are leadership, being a main leader on this team, and also being a bigger offensive role. I have Alisha Breen coming back and Monica coming back. Rylee's coming back, but we have a lot of new people, so it's going to take a lot for me for being here for 5 years. So I would say my list of roles is maxed out this year.
How about the team so far? What are your early impressions?
We're fast. I think this is the fastest team that I've played on here at MSUB. I think we pushed the tempo really good. I think we're in really good shape so far. I think that we're ahead now than where we were last year. The team chemistry is great. I'm really excited to play Rocky and just, see how we do against the teams. I think when they voted us 7, I think it kind of lit a fire underneath of us, and I think we're ready to prove that we are a good team and that we're not 7.
So finally, what are your goals, your individual and team, that you want to see happen this year?
Individual goals are hard for me because it's such a team sport for me. But Coach Woodin really wants me to basically see my role as it's a privilege to have the pressure on me, and that's something that I'm adjusting to. But I think I'm going to get it, or I will get it by the time it gets here. And for the team, I think, just limiting mental errors. That's something that, struggles each team. And I think if we can limit our mental errors and talk on defense and put the ball in the hoop, I think we're going to be okay.
I'm here with junior Alisha Breen of the women's basketball team. Alisha, last season a bit of a disappointment for the ending results. Talk a little bit about how that motivation has helped you starting this season.
Last year, like you said, we had a disappointing end to the season, but as a freshman, I had such a great freshman year that it makes me look forward to this year and that we can get back to where we were. We might have taken a step back last year. Things just didn't go our way. We lost a lot of close games by a couple points, and that definitely this summer, it makes you realize that the little things in practice are what counts. It's a last shot. It's that extra rep, putting in the extra time that's going to make the difference at the end of a game.
So maybe talk a little bit about that. How has your preseason gone, and kind of what have you used from the past 2 years to make you a better player?
Our preseason has been extremely competitive this year. We have 3 new freshmen and 1 transfer, so we have 4 girls, 12 total, so, a relatively new team. We're still pretty young. Majority of our players are younger classmen, but considering that, I think that this preseason, like I said, has been the most competitive. We push each other because those of us that were on the team when I was a freshman realize what it's like to do so well and to win a championship and the hard work that it takes. And then last year, that disappointment, it still just sits in the pit of your stomach because you don't want to feel that. And I think that has pushed everyone to do just a little bit more, whether it's conditioning or staying after to hit 100 3-pointers. Everything counts at this point.
And last year, your role increased. And again, this season, your role is going to increase again. You were named a captain to the team. Talk a little bit about your leadership role.
I'm completely honored to be a captain for MSUB this year. Last year, as a sophomore, with a bunch of freshmen, I was one of the girls that had played a lot, but I was still a sophomore. And this year, as a junior, it's hard to believe that I'm a junior and I'm an upperclassman, but for me, I had my first half of my freshman year, I had such a hard time adjusting that I look back and I had, my captains that were there for me the whole time. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I try to do for the younger girls is make them realize that they're not in it alone, that everybody is a freshman at one point and things are hard. And if they have questions, if they have concerns or problems, I'm always there. I'm always here to talk to them, whether it's venting or going and shooting a couple shots, going through plays. I think for our team, since we are young, that's huge. Even a majority of our bench players are going to be sophomores, so a young team needs to get the experience somehow, and the best way they can learn that is from the upperclassmen that have been there and gone through it. Getting that preseason all-conference, like you said, it's an honor, first and foremost, but it shows that people expect a lot out of me for the year. So I may be pushing myself hard now, but I need to find that next level to increase skills, everything that I can to be that, player. I've been under 2 All-Americans, and, that's the goal, is to be an All-American. So hard work, hopefully it'll pay off in the end, and I don't want to disappoint any of my fans, my teammates, my coaches, anything. So that's definitely what I'll be striving for.
And how about your team? What would you like the team to do this season?
Oh, win a GNAC championship. That's always the goal. It's, baby steps. We got to win our first games before we can get anywhere near, conference championship, anything like that. But you start from the bottom, work your way up. Our first couple non-conference games are huge, and they'll be a good starting point for us to realize where we are within the GNAC.
Talking with sophomore Rylee Kane. Last year you came in as a true freshman. You were a starting point guard in a very difficult league. Talk about some of the takeaways from last year.
Last year was a pretty eye-opening season for me. I learned a lot from my senior captains and the upperclassmen. They actually taught me a lot about the game, and I had some great role models. I learned some leadership skills. Mostly how to be a floor general. That was probably the biggest adjustment for me, and I actually took a lot away from last season as a freshman.
So let's talk tough. The GNAC is an intense league. It's a big step up from high school, so much bigger and faster. After seeing it, after being part of it, what did you do in the off season to work on your game for this season?
I actually had to work on a lot last season. My freshman year was basically like a huge adjustment year for me, so I kind of had to turn around the next summer and work on improving the quickness, the speed of my game. I really had to work on improving my jump shot, my range. I had to increase my range. I can't just go in and shoot layups anymore. So that was probably one of the main things I worked on, was my outside shot.
And what do you see as this team needs to be better for this season?
I think defensively, that is probably the main thing that we need to be focused on this year, and I think that our defense will be a game changer. And this preseason, we really worked hard on defense, and I think if we keep that going, then we should be set for the year.
So still an underclassman as a sophomore, but having a full year as a starting player, what kind of impact do you want to have on the still very young Yellow Jacket roster?
This year, I think it's very important for me to be a leader and to step up more and have a bigger leadership role and kind of take control over the game. And I think that'll be the biggest goal for me.
Here with head women's basketball coach Kevin Woodin. Let's start with last season, Kevin. A disappointing record for you and for the graduating seniors, but what were you able to take away from last year's results and put into play going forward?
The thing that we took away is I know that our players just battled hard. I mean, we had tons of close games, and to fall short of making the GNAC playoffs was definitely disappointing, but I don't blame anybody, myself included. I think that we worked extremely hard, and if a couple more bounces would have went our way, we would have been in. We had a difficult injury in Janiel never being able to come back, and a couple other players that we were counting on just didn't make it. So that's just the way that goes, and it's time to go forward. I definitely miss the 3 seniors from a year ago. not just as players, but mostly as people. But it's an exciting time to start again.
So still a very young roster this year with 4 upperclassmen and 8 underclassmen, but a unique situation in a couple of areas. Let's start with your 2 fifth-year seniors in Janiel Olson and Monica Grimsrud. Touch on what it is that they're going to bring to the team this season.
Well, naturally they're going to be leaders, just being a fifth-year person. I mean, anytime you've been in a program for 4 straight years, you just know the ins and outs even that much better. First, Monica, it's great to have her again, but this year will be the first time she gets to go through the entire preseason as a basketball season, and even the off season over the summer, she was only preparing to play basketball. So I've seen a lot of growth in her as a player, both fundamentally and just in her the way that she's going about her business. So look for her to have a great year for us as a leader and as a player. Janiel's extremely hungry. I mean, she got hurt in late during her junior year and mid to late February, and so it's been about 20 months since she's been able to play at this level again. She's been ready, for several months. So holding her back is very hard. But she's been a great leader always. That I think her just sitting on the sideline and just wanting in, but seeing the game in a different perspective is going to benefit her as a player, but also her leadership with her teammates.
And moving to juniors, Alisha Breen and transfer Tiana Hansen, what do you see as their roles?
Alisha is one of the top all-around players that I've ever coached. I mean, she can literally play all 5 positions on the court. She can impact a game, whether on the boards, mid-range shots, in the post, shooting threes. So as a passer, offensively, her repertoire of skills is unbelievable. And then defensively, she just is our loudest player, and I mean that in a good way. She communicates. I mean, she's just, I know she's going to have a fabulous year. She did last year, but I'm looking for a little more consistency from her, and then she will move into a role as a co-captain, and I think that's something that she really is looking forward to doing, and I think that will benefit her too. In regard to Tiana, I knew of Tiana for many years. I mean, we've had so many great players from Shepherd here. Kayleen just left, so I guess it's time to have a new one come in, and actually a very similar position. The thing about Tiana is she just gets the job done. When you watch her, she uses both hands. She's a great foul shooter. She scored a lot of points the last couple of years at Sheridan, so she stepped in, and I think some of the sets that we run are very similar to what they did. But she's a great teammate and has started this season very well, and I look for big things from her too.
And you do have a starting player back in your point guard and freshman last season, Rylee Kane. What have you seen from her in the early days this year?
Well, it's just 180 degrees better. I think if you asked her how the first couple weeks of practice went last year, I think her quote to me once individually was that, "Coach, those are the 2 most stressful weeks of my life." And basically it was just, she just seemed like she didn't know what position she would be in, whether on the floor defensively or offensively. Just learn, just information overload. And she played, she shared that position for a few weeks, but I actually thought the second half of the season last year as a freshman point guard, she played some very good basketball for us. The thing I like about Rylee is she protects the ball well. She doesn't turn it over very much. And you knew that as she got more comfortable with the plays and her teammates, she's going to get better. I think people underestimate her athleticism. She's much more explosive than you think. I'm really happy to see that she's put in a lot of time, I can tell, in the off season, both from a conditioning standpoint and a skills standpoint, and she's just way ahead. So now, instead of thinking, oh, we have a freshman point guard, we're thinking now we have an experienced sophomore, and that just sounds really good for the future here. And she played extremely good the other day in the alumni game, and I hope that continues. But I'm very excited for her upcoming season.
And how about the rest of your team? What do you need them to do in order to have a successful year?
Collectively, we have some of our redshirt sophomores that you're talking about, and then 3 new coming faces there. They're all play an important role. I mean, we have 12 players on the roster. Practices are important there, but it's not realistic for a coach to go into a game and think, hey, we're going to play 12 players. I mean, really, once you get past number 8 to 9, it's hard for people to gain minutes. Now, depth was a concern for us last year, especially down the stretch with our tough GNAC schedule and the traveling. I think we're much deeper, but we need at least 2 or 3 of those players to be able to earn minutes, but then once they get them, that they need to produce. And if they can do that, I think we're going to have a chance to be much better as a team.
So early days yet, but how would you characterize this 2015-16 team?
I really like their chemistry both on and off the court so far. Although we have most years our chemistry is good. I mean, our players work hard at that. So, but I'm pleased with that. I think we are bigger throughout our lineup. We're a little bit taller. We don't have, say, a Chelsea Bain, a 6'4" person in the middle, but we can have lineups where we have great size throughout our lineup, which should give us some great defensive, be able to adjust or play maybe a style where we might want to switch on defense or put different players in multiple positions, both offensively and defensively. So I think it's a very versatile lineup. I think a challenge for us will be that we need to have great spacing on offense. We're getting there. I think we can shoot the ball very well, but we are losing a lot of offensive firepower in Kaylin Goggins and Quinn Peoples and Annie Depew. Together they were about 40 points a game. And so that'll be the challenge. Defensively, we're just better, period, because we're deeper. I think we're longer, and then you throw Janiel back into the group. I mean, that just makes us better on that end right away. So if we can become offensively consistent and execute at a high level, I think we're going to be fine defensively, and I think we have a chance to make a lot of noise in our league.